Sugar and spice and everything nice. That's what little girls are made of. Snips and snails and puppy dog tails. That's what little boys are made of. This nursery rhyme reinforces gender stereotypes and gender segregation that is encouraged almost from birth. Gender roles are defined by adolescence, but we're taught at a much younger age through gender socialization just what being a woman or a man is all about. Children are gender structured during their early years by observation, imitation, and socialization. Parents construct their infant's gender through activities, toys, expressions and phrases, colors of clothing, and even chores. Today's society perpetuates the differences in gender for a variety of reasons. Gender is organized to help society categorize and understand other people, giving us information that allows us to respond to that person. Older generations also have ingrained gender stereotypes, which take a lot of effort and patience to change. Finally, gender differences and stereotypes are harder to get rid of because they are subtler. Racial segregation had laws for society to abolish, yet no laws pertain to gender segregation. Attention has been brought to the subject of gender socialization through stories such as X, A Fabulous Child's Story by Lois Gold. In this story, scientists conduct an experiment using a child whose sex is not specified. The effect of not knowing the child's gender on society's interactions with the child forces the reader to realize that gender socialization imposes restrictions on a child's identity. When not stereotyped by gender, the child develops his or her own sense of self, not encouraged by societal expectations. Through examining a variety of childhood pictures, one can conclude that gender socialization forces children into gender at early ages, inhibiting the child's own sense of self. For me, gender socialization played a large role in my early childhood. I was given dolls to play with, dressed in pink outfits, and taught that playing house was a fun activity. If asked, my favorite color was pink. I wanted to be a flight attendant when I grew up, and my favorite planet was Pluto, because it was so cute and dainty compared to Jupiter or Saturn. I loved to vacuum and pretend to cook as a little girl, and I sewed countless scraps together to make clothing for my stuffed animals. When elementary school hit, I learned to play flute, because although I wanted to learn percussion, flute was where I would fit in with all the other young girls. Countless examples such as these fill my early years of life. I do not blame my parents or the education system. In fact, I am sure they never even noticed that they were raising me in conformity with society's expectations of gender roles. However, the gender socialization in my childhood hindered my growth as an individual. We spend our early years developing a sense of identity, of who we are and what we like. As a result of gender socialization, it took me longer to develop my own identity. It wasn't until 5th or 6th grade that I realized I didn't really like pink, and that blue was a much more wholesome color in my taste. Through my adolescent and teenage years, I slowly shed the skin that gender socialization had cocooned me in. I shed the flight attendant fantasy and am now aiming towards becoming a forensic auditor for the FBI. I have also come to realize that having a favorite planet is downright silly, no matter how cute or dainty the planet may be. While I am still a neat freak and I like to clean, it is a result of my own personality, not because I was taught that cleaning is fun or a woman's job. I have also learned that my cooking and sewing skills are limited, which has probably resulted from the fact that I developed an impatience for both. While I eventually learned to escape some of the gender stereotypes, I have also realized that one cannot yet escape gender socialization completely, and that this is a goal towards which society needs to strive. This picture concentrates on colors connected to gender. The bedspread and curtains are covered in elegant roses, a pillowcase with a pink background and beautiful flowers sit atop a longer pink body pillow. The walls are calm, displaying inviting pastel colors. Even before a child is born, gender socialization has begun. Parents often choose the paint of the nursery's walls based on the gender of their newborn. Expecting a baby girl, parents will deck the room in pinks and pastels that are inviting, soft, and sweet. Is the baby a boy? When expecting a boy, parents will frequently paint the room in either bright primary colors or dark blues and greens, colors often connected with boldness or masculinity. These gender-specific colors expand beyond the nursery walls. In hospital nurseries, for example, it is common practice to wrap newborn boys in blue blankets and newborn girls in pink blankets, and greeting cards are often color-coded in blue or pink to signify the sex of the newborn. In a 1985 study performed in a New York mall, 75% of young girls versus 0% of young boys wore at least some pink in their clothing. 79% of boys versus only 8% of girls had at least some blue in their clothing. From nursery walls to blankets and clothing, color is used to enforce gender stereotypes. This next set of pictures focuses on toys and accessories that strengthen gender stereotypes. In this photo, an endless mess filled with an unimaginable array of toys surrounds me. A plethora of Barbie dolls can be seen right next to a small play kitchen, an even smaller McDonald's playset, and a large Pocahontas doll. Splashes of pink and Barbie doll accessories can be found throughout the room. Yet, where are the robots, the jigsaw puzzles, the action figures, the Matchbox cars? Many toys are stereotyped as to which gender is allowed to play with them. For instance, Barbies, toy kitchens, and games such as Pretty Pretty Princess are considered girls' toys. Cars, puzzles, balls, and action figures, on the other hand, are thought of as boys' toys. By giving young children toys that are specified for a certain gender, parents are reinforcing gender stereotypes. Parents are not the only ones endorsing gender-specific toys, however. Mass media and retail companies also impose gender through advertising and business. Commercials on TV are filled with little girls playing with Barbies, while young boys toy around with dinosaurs on the screen. In businesses such as Target or Toys R Us, separate aisles are dedicated to boys' and girls' toys. One researcher states, "From an early age, adults provide children with such gender-congruent toys and reinforce gender-typical toy play. Toy preferences that emerge in early childhood appear directed and maintained by gender socialization."
I am what I wear and how I dress.
Clothing is yet another tool used in gender socialization. Throughout a child's infancy, they do not have the ability to dress themselves, so parents take over this responsibility. Parents typically dress girls in frilly dresses with bows, lace, and gender-specific colors such as pastels. Boys are often dressed in shirts and shorts in various shades of blue and green. Images on clothing are also used to indicate the sex of the child. Butterflies and flowers are seen as more feminine, whereas dinosaurs and sports are printed on many boys' outfits. In today's society, people have more freedom in what they choose to wear. Women can now wear pants instead of being confined behind swirling skirts and dresses. However, despite the loosening restrictions, clothing is often gender-specific, defined by a person's sex. Men do not go around wearing skirts, and women generally do not wear ties or suspenders. Cross-dressing is frowned upon in society based on irrational fears of differences from the norm. These fears fortify the stereotypes surrounding gender and clothing.